Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Wednesday, the 21st of December, 2022. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Let's jump into it. Story number 1, the S&P ASX 200 closed up 1.3% today to 7,116 points. Gold, iron ore, lithium, coal and gas producers helped the bourse move higher. BHP led the way, rising 2.4%. While Woodside Energy Group closed 2.7% higher. Fortescue finished up 3% and Santos was up 2.7%. But the big outperformer was gold digger Newcrest Mining, which closed 6.5% higher. More than 80% of companies finished better today. In terms of sectors, the banks were the underperformers. Best performer were the gold diggers, Evolution Mining and Silver Lake Resources. They both rose around 8%. Worst was lithium battery maker Novonix, which closed down more than 7%. Story number 2, bond yields keep rising. Bonds are important because they're relatively safe investments, particularly government bonds, and pretty much all other major asset classes are measured against what bonds are doing. So when yields on bonds move, so does everything else, as we saw when the Bank of Japan this week said it was letting longer-term interest rates rise. Investors have now upgraded their expectations of how far interest rates will have to go as policymakers fight inflation. The peak in the Bank of England's policy rate is now projected at 4.7% by August next year, up from 4.5%. The top level of the European Central Bank's deposit rate is now anticipated to reach 3.2%. In mid-next year, that's up from 2.75%. In contrast, investors still doubt the US Central Bank will lift the benchmark to the top of 5.1% projected by the Federal Reserve. In fact, they think it'll only get to 4.9%. What does it all mean? Well, it means that bond prices have a way to go. It also means that other asset classes, like equities, might not do so well. Story number 3, there have been some interesting data released by the Bureau of Statistics in recent days about the benefits of migration in Australia. Migrants hold around 26% of all jobs in the country, which is below their 29% share of the population. Around 57% of jobs are held by permanent migrants, 30% by temporary migrants, and 13% by New Zealanders. And the biggest job groupings are administrative and support services, healthcare and social assistance, and accommodation and food services. Almost 4 million migrant taxpayers earned more than $230 billion in a year. It sounds a lot, but the median annual personal income was about $45,000, lower than the $52,000 figure for the population as a whole. Story number 4, James Hardie Industries is cutting hundreds of jobs globally and making workers redundant before Christmas, as the building materials maker struggles with what it claims is a perfect storm of falling demand and soaring costs. Around 100 jobs will be cut in the Asia-Pacific region, mostly in Australia, with employees receiving redundancy notices in the next couple of days, according to the Financial Review. The job losses are believed to number in the hundreds across James Hardie's operations in the US, Europe and Asia. The building materials company employs about 4,800 people globally after running hard during the pandemic thanks to a strong building sector, particularly in the US. Its share price has more than halved over the past year. And story number 5, Donald Trump is under more fire with a US parliamentary committee voting to release partially redacted tax filings of the former US president. As Trump runs for the White House again in 2024, information about his tax affairs between 2015 and 2021, which he has fought hard to keep private, potentially will work against him. Candidates aren't required to make their tax statements public, but pretty much everyone does. Then again, normally someone as rich as Mr. Trump doesn't become US president. The tax filings are expected to become public in days. That's it for the afternoon report for Wednesday, the 21st of December, 2022. Michael Thompson and I will be back tomorrow morning with the Thursday edition of Fear and Greed. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.